The cold wind of the mountain valley pushed against Lyra's large body as she walked slowly through the falling snow. Her long silver hair blew behind her, and every step left a deep mark in the ice. She was tired. She was hungry. But most of all, she was broken inside. Lyra belonged to a proud alien species called the Lori. They were tall, strong, and known for their warrior culture. But Lyra was different from the others. Even among the tall Lori, she was considered too big. Her body was larger, heavier, and stronger than any female of her kind. Because of this, the tribe believed she could never reproduce. Their old tradition said, a woman who cannot continue the bloodline has no place in the tribe. So tonight, the elders cast her out. No one hugged her. No one cried for her. No one defended her. They simply announced a judgment and turned their backs. Lyra tried to be brave as she walked away from the settlement, but every memory of the day hurt. When the elder spoke her exile sentence, she felt her heart fall apart. She tried to speak, to tell them she was still useful, still strong, still loyal, but they didn't care. For them, her size was a curse, not a blessing. Now she walked alone into the wilderness with only a cloak and a small satchel of dry food. Snowflakes hit her face, but she didn't blink. She had cried so much already that no tears were left. Yet something unexpected happened as she reached the end of the valley. A strange sound echoed in the sky, a deep rumbling, like engines fighting harsh winds. Lyra looked up. A bright human starcraft was descending. Its lights cut through the thick clouds, and the engines glowed like burning suns. Humans rarely came to this side of the planet. This area was known for storms, mountains, and dangerous animal dens. But the ship was clearly damaged. Sparks shot out from one side, and smoke trailed behind it. The ship struggled, dropped lower, and then crashed gently into the snow with a loud metallic groan. Lyra stood still. For a moment, she wondered if she should run. Humans were small compared to her kind, but she had heard stories. Humans were brave, clever, and known to help anyone in trouble. Curiosity pushed her forward. She slowly walked toward the crash site, her footsteps heavy and slow. The ship door hissed open, and a man stepped out, coughing through smoke. He was wearing a dark jacket, simple cargo pants, and a repair tool belt. His face was tired, his hair messy from the fall. His name was Ethan Hale, a human engineer traveling to a research outpost. When he noticed the tall shadow in front of him, he froze. Lyra's massive form blocked the moonlight, making her look like a giant statue. But instead of fear, Ethan showed something else, concern. He raised his hands gently. "Are you hurt?" he asked loudly so she could hear through the wind. Lyra blinked, surprised. Most beings stepped back from her size. Most stared at her with fear or disgust. But this human's first words were not anger, not judgment, just worry. I am not hurt," she said softly. Try not to frighten him. Ethan took a few steps closer, carefully. He examined her face, her shaking hands, her frozen clothes. "You're freezing," he said. "You shouldn't be out here alone." Lyra looked away. "That is no longer important," she whispered. "I have no home now." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" Lyra closed her eyes for a second. She didn't want to explain. It was too painful. But this human's voice was gentle, and somehow she felt safe. "I was exiled," she said. "My people believe I cannot give life. They say my body is wrong. Too big, too heavy." Her voice broke. Ethan listened silently. He didn't interrupt. He didn't show mockery or disgust. He just let her speak. "And now," she continued, "they say I must walk alone until the cold takes me." Ethan shook his head immediately. "That's cruel. You don't deserve that." Lyra stared at him, confused. "Why do you say that? You do not know me." "Maybe not," Ethan replied, "but no one deserves to be thrown away, not for something they have no control over." His words hit her like a warm light in a dark room. Lyra had not felt kindness in a long time. Hearing it from a stranger, especially a small human, made her heart ache in a new way. Ethan looked at his smoking ship behind him. "My systems are damaged. I can't fly right now," he said. "Will you help me? And in return, I'll help you stay alive." Deal. Lyra hesitated. She was used to being rejected, not invited. But slowly, she nodded. Yes, I can help. Ethan smiled, an honest, simple human smile. Good, he said. Let's start by getting inside. You're shivering. The human ship was much smaller than Lyra expected. She had to crouch and fold her shoulders to enter. Ethan felt awkward and kept apologizing. Sorry, everything here is, well, human-sized. Lyra tried to smile. It is fine. I am used to not fitting in. Ethan stopped. The sadness in her voice made him look at her again. Really look. Not fitting in doesn't mean something is wrong with you, he said. Sometimes it just means a place around you is too small. Lyra looked away quickly, hiding the tears forming in her eyes. Inside the ship, Ethan gave her a thermal blanket, warm water, and a simple ration bar. She watched him carefully. He moved fast, with purpose, like someone who fixed problems before they grew worse. You are kind, she said quietly. Humans are known to be kind, Ethan replied with a shrug, but also stubborn. And I'm pretty stubborn about not letting someone freeze to death. Lyra almost laughed at that. The ship shook as the wind grew stronger. Ethan checked his console. The storm is getting worse. We'll be here for a while, he said. Lyra nodded. I can help. Tell me what to do. Together, they worked through the night. Ethan repaired damaged panels, while Lyra lifted heavy parts he could never lift alone. She held broken metal steady as he welded them. When his tools slipped, she guided them gently with her larger hands. At one point, Ethan looked at her with open admiration. You're strong, he said. Stronger than anyone I've seen. Lyra looked down shyly. My people say my strength is useless. Then your people are wrong, Ethan replied simply. Those 4 words warmed her more than the thermal blanket. As the night went on, Ethan grew curious. Why were they so sure you can't reproduce? He asked. Lyra touched her stomach slowly. The healers scanned me. They said my size would make it impossible. They said my body was a mistake. Ethan frowned deeply. That doesn't sound scientific. That sounds like old thinking. Lyra sighed. It does not matter. The judgment is final. Ethan leaned back in his chair. Well, judgment or not, I don't trust their conclusion. Humans don't give up without checking twice. Lyra looked at him sharply. No one had ever questioned the elders before. Why does this human care so much? Why does he look at me like I am worth saving? Before she could ask, the ship lights flickered. A warning alarm beeped. Ethan rushed to the console. Something else is wrong, he said. I need a bioscanner reading for energy balance. Could you stand here? Lyra nodded and stepped into the scanner field. A soft blue light covered her body from head to toe. Ethan studied the data. Then his eyes widened. He stared at the screen again. Then again. His face changed slowly from confusion to shock to disbelief. Lyra, he whispered. Yes, she asked nervously. Ethan turned toward her with a look she had never seen on anyone's face. Inside the damaged human ship, the scanner light slowly faded as Ethan stepped back from the control panel. His face still showed shock, and he kept checking the results again and again. Lyra watched him nervously, her large hand shaking slightly. The truth he spoke moments ago felt impossible, unreal, like a dream she was scared to believe in. Ethan, are you certain? She asked in a trembling voice. Ethan nodded slowly. I checked the data 3 times. Your body is not weak, Lyra. It's advanced. Stronger than a normal Delori female. Lyra frowned, confused. Then why did the healers say? Because they didn't understand, Ethan interrupted gently. Your body is bigger because it is designed to carry heavier life. Stronger babies. Maybe even babies that survive difficult climates. He pointed at the scanner results. Your internal structure is perfect for reproduction. Strong bones. High nutrient storage. Stronger wound walls. Everything is built for protection. Lyra stared at the readings as if they belonged to someone else. She had lived her entire life believing she was faulty, flawed, unfit to be a mother. Now this human, this small, stubborn, honest man, was telling her she'd been lied to by tradition. The thought hit her like a heavy wave. If I had known earlier, would my people still cast me out? Would they still treat me as worthless? Her large body shook softly. For the first time, she felt something warm inside, something she had never felt before. Hope. Ethan walked closer, lowering his voice. You were never mistake, Lyra, he said. You were born strong, born special. She looked at him, eyes full of emotion. Why do you care so much? She whispered. No one ever cared before. Ethan shrugged lightly. Because everyone deserves a chance to know the truth. And because you helped me repair my ship. You saved me from freezing. I don't forget kindness. Lyra watched him in silence. Humans were strange, small bodies, soft skin, gentle voices. Yet they carried an enormous heart inside. Ethan's kindness felt like a new kind of light, warming the dark corners of her soul. But their moment of peace didn't last long. A loud metallic thud echoed outside the ship. Ethan froze. What was that? Lyra stiffened. Her instincts sharpened. She knew that sound. It is not an animal, she whispered. It is armor. Another thud. Then another. Something, or several things, were moving close. Ethan quickly dimmed the lights and checked the exterior cam. The screen flickered, then showed dark shapes moving through the snow. Tall bodies. Heavy steps. Lyra felt her chest tighten. It is the hunters, she said. My tribe sends a hunter squad to track exiles, to make sure they never return. Ethan stared at her in disbelief. They kill their own people? Lyra lowered her eyes. Only those who are judged as useless. Ethan clenched his teeth. You're not useless. More shadows appeared on the screen. 5 Valori warriors, all armed with long energy spears and heavy armor. Their voices crackled through the wind. She cannot be far. Search the crash site. If she resists, eliminate her. Do not let the human escape either. Ethan's heart jumped. They know about me? Lyra nodded slowly. They believe you helped me escape. That is enough for them. Ethan's hand tightened around his tool belt. Then we fight. Lyra stared at him with shock. You cannot fight them. They are warriors. You are only a human, Ethan said with a small smile. Yes, but humans are full of surprises. He quickly opened a storage compartment and pulled out small but powerful energy tools. Cutters, welders, electric pulses. He tossed a handheld device to Lyra. This is a shock emitter, he said. If they come too close, aim and press. Lyra held the device carefully. It looked tiny in her large hands. Ethan, you do not need to risk your life for me. He looked at her seriously. You saved my life earlier. Now it's my turn. The ship shook as the hunters reached the hull. A deep voice boomed outside. Lyra of the Valori, step out and face your judgment. Ethan and Lyra exchanged one look, a silent agreement. They would not surrender. They would not break. They would face us together. Ethan motioned her toward the back hatch. They will expect you to come out the front. We use the emergency door. Stay close. Lyra bent low and followed him. Her heart beat loud and strong, fear mixed with determination. She had never fought to protect someone before. She had never had anyone worth fighting for. The back hatch slid open, and a blast of cold wind hit them. Snow swirled around them as they stepped out quietly. But they weren't quiet enough. One hunter turned and saw them. There, he shouted. For more hunters rushed forward, weapons glowing. Ethan activated his portable shield, a small round device that formed a glowing barrier around him. Lyra stood behind him, gripping the shock emitter tightly. The first hunter lunged at them with a spear. Ethan dodged and hit the ground device, sending a burst of electric energy across the snow. The hunter stumbled, armor crackling. Another rushed toward Lyra. She stepped forward bravely and slammed her large hand into the ground, sending snow flying. The hunter struck her shoulder with a spear, but her thick skin and strong muscles absorbed most of the blow. With a powerful move, she grabbed his arm, lifted him slightly, and pressed the shock emitter to his chest. A burst of blue light exploded. The hunter crashed into the snow, unconscious. Ethan shouted, "Nice hit." Lyra felt strength rising inside her. She was not weak. She was not useless. She was powerful. And she was protecting someone who believed in her. 2 more hunters ran toward Ethan. He threw a small device at the ground, an improvised energy trap. It popped open and released a wave of magnetic force, pulling the hunters' spears out of their hands. Weaponless, they stumbled. Lyra charged forward, pushing one to the ground with her shoulder and knocking the other away with a heavy sweep of her arm. Ethan ducked under a spear thrown at him, rolling behind a snow-covered rock. "Lyra, behind you." She turned fast, just in time to see the leader of the squad jump toward her with a glowing blade. But Ethan, without thinking, ran forward and tackled the leader's leg. The blade missed Lyra by inches. The leader kicked Ethan back, but the distraction was enough. Lyra grabbed the leader's armor with both hands and lifted him off the ground. "Leave," she growled, "or face my strength." The leader choked. You should not be this strong." Lyra's eyes glowed with fire. "I was always strong," she said. "You were too blind to see it." She threw him into the snow. He slid back several meters, armor cracked. The other hunters hesitated. For the first time, they looked afraid. Ethan stood next to Lyra, breath heavy but eyes bright. "Want to try again?" he said to the hunters with a fearless smile. The hunters slowly stepped back. Their leader raised a hand. "Retreat," he ordered, anger and fear in his voice. "She is no longer one of us." They vanished into the storm. Silence fell. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. Ethan rushed to her side. "You okay?" he asked. Lyra nodded slowly. "I did not know I could fight like that." Ethan smiled. "That's the thing about you, Lyra. No one ever gave you a reason to fight before." Her eyes met his. "And you gave me one?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Yes." Lyra felt warmth fill her chest. A new feeling, deeper than gratitude, more powerful than respect. "You believed in me," she whispered. Snow fell softly over the mountains as Lyra and Ethan slowly walked back toward the damaged ship. The wind had calmed after the fight, but the world still felt cold. Ethan limped a little. His side hurt from when the lorry leader had kicked him. Lyra noticed immediately. "You are injured," she said gently. Ethan gave a half smile. "I've had worse. Humans break easily, but we also heal fast." Lyra didn't smile back. She kneeled in front of him and placed a large hand on his shoulder. "I fought them because of you," she said quietly. "Not for revenge, not for pride, but because you believed I was worth something." Ethan's smile softened. "You are worth everything, Lyra." Those words made her heart shake again. The storm around them felt smaller now. The cold felt weaker. They reached the ship entrance, and Ethan placed a hand on the metal hull. "We'll need shelter until morning," he said. "Come inside." Lyra followed him, ducking under the doorway. Ethan switched on small interior lights and turned on the heater. Warm air slowly filled the ship. Lyra sat carefully on the floor, her large body taking most of the space. Ethan grabbed a small medical kit and sat beside her. "Let me check your shoulder," he said. Lyra blinked. "My shoulder? You got hit." "I saw the spear connect." She touched the spot. It was bruised but not bleeding. "It is nothing." Ethan shook his head. "Pain is pain. Let me help." He placed a gentle hand on her arm, examining the injury. His hands were small compared to her large frame, but they were careful and warm. Lyra felt her heart beat faster, not from fear, but from something new, something soft. When Ethan finished, he smiled lightly. "You heal fast." Lyra watched him closely. "Humans care too much," she whispered. Ethan laughed softly. "Or maybe your people cared too little." Lyra lowered her eyes. "I was always alone, even before Exile." Ethan leaned back, thinking, "Do you want to stay alone?" She looked up sharply. "No," she said honestly. "For the first time, I want a life, a home, a future." Ethan's eyes softened. "You deserve all of that." For a long moment, they simply sat in silence. The heater hummed. Snow tapped against the metal walls. Ethan closed his eyes, tired from the fight, while Lyra watched him with a gentle expression. Then something unexpected happened. The scanner beeped again. Ethan frowned and stood up. "That's strange. I didn't activate anything." He checked the console. The scanner was showing a soft pulse. Something inside the ship's medical system had begun a deeper scan almost by itself. "What is it?" Lyra asked. Ethan's hands moved quickly over controls. This is reading you again," he said. "It's showing new data." Lyra felt nervous. "New data? What does it mean?" Ethan's eyes suddenly widened. "Lyra," he whispered, "you're already changing." She stared at him, confused. "Changing? How?" Ethan switched the screen toward her. Biological numbers glowed. Your body reacted to the fight, the stress, the danger. It activated something inside your biology, something powerful. "What? Something powerful?" she asked in a soft voice. Ethan swallowed hard. "Lyra, your reproductive system isn't just normal, it is hyperadaptive. It reacts when you feel a strong purpose or strong bond." Lyra blinked. "Bond?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, it means your body is preparing for motherhood." The words hit her like a shock. I could be a mother?" she whispered. Ethan smiled softly. "Yes, Lyra, you're not just able. You're meant to be." For a moment, the world stood still for her. Every insult, every humiliation, every cruel word from her tribe faded into dust. She wasn't broken. She wasn't useless. She was the strongest version of her species. Slowly, tears formed in her eyes. "Ethan," she whispered, voice shaking, "you gave me this truth. You helped me see my real value." Ethan looked away shyly. "I just told you what the data said." "No," Lyra said firmly. "You believed in me first. Before the scanner. Before the fight. You saw me." Ethan's cheeks warmed. "Well, humans have a habit of believing in people, especially good people." Something deep and honest grew between them in that moment. Something neither of them planned, but both felt. A gentle, fragile safety. A connection stronger than fear. A bond born from trust. But outside the ship, danger was not gone. The wind carried distant voices, angry, frustrated voices. More hunters were searching. The first squad had retreated, but they had not given up. Lyra's exile was still law. Her existence was still forbidden. Ethan checked the sensors again. "They are coming back," he said. "We don't have much time. We need to leave." Lyra's heart sank. "But your ship cannot fly." Ethan smirked. "Not yet, but with your help, we might have a chance." They worked fast. Lyra lifted damage plates, held engines in place, and cleared heavy snow. Ethan rewired broken systems, connected emergency power, and rerouted the main thrusters. Hours passed, and dawn slowly colored the sky. But the hunters reached the valley again. Ethan heard their energy signatures. "They're close," he said. "We have minutes, maybe less." Lyra stood tall, snow swirling around her legs. "I will hold them back." Ethan grabbed her arm. "No, you can't fight them alone." Lyra placed a large hand on his chest. "I am not alone," she said softly. "You are with me." Ethan froze. His heart beat harder. Lyra stepped outside the ship. The cold wind hit her face, but she felt no fear. Not anymore. She had purpose now. She had truth. She had someone to protect. The hunters appeared on the ridge. 10 of them this time, armored and armed. The leader pointed at her. "Lyra, you were judged. You cannot return to the tribe." Lyra took one step forward. "I do not wish to return," she said. "My place is not with you anymore." The leader laughed. "Then die, exile." Lyra raised her chin proudly. "No, I will live, and I will create life." The hunters froze. "Impossible," one whispered. Ethan stepped out beside her, holding a small energy device. He looked tiny compared to Lyra and the hunters, but his courage shone like fire. "She doesn't belong to your cruel traditions," Ethan said loudly. "She belongs to her future." The hunters charged. Lyra roared and slammed her fist into the snow, creating a shockwave. Ethan threw a flash device, blinding the warriors. Together they fought fiercely. Lyra using strength, Ethan using speed and human tricks. One by one, the hunters fell, stunned, defeated, broken by the unity of a giant alien woman and a fearless human. Finally, The leader fell to his knees. "You will destroy the old ways," he hissed. Lyra looked down at him with strength in her eyes. "The old ways destroyed themselves," she replied. Ethan touched her arm. "Lyra, the ship is ready. We can leave." Lyra looked at the sky. The rising sun glowed behind the mountains. She turned to Ethan. "Will you stay with me?" she asked softly. "Wherever we go." Ethan smiled, warm and gentle. "Always." She felt something bloom inside her. Something deep. Something powerful. Something that could only be described as the beginning of life. Together, they boarded the ship. Ethan activated the engines. Lyra held the walls steady as the ship lifted. Snow exploded under the thrusters. For the first time in her life, Lyra rose into the sky. Not as an exile, but as someone with a future. As the planet grew smaller beneath them, Ethan looked at her. "What now?" he asked.